And so the Phoenix, are you guys going to pull out of Phoenix completely? Or are you guys going to still stay there and just see how it goes?
Um, we haven't marketed in Phoenix in a while, bro.
Really?
Yeah, most of our deals from Phoenix have been JV deals. Tucson's been our go-to, and then we went to Kansas for a little bit, but that was bunk. And then yeah, bro. It's a different beast over there, bro. Like people are nonchalant, like they stay there for 80 years in their properties.
Right.
So yeah, conversations are different. But we just barely started going back into Phoenix again, I think last week. And the only reason when we did that is because I know a lot of people are out of Phoenix. So Phoenix is going to be the list for a ringless, and and go from there. See what happens with that. So
Do you know anyone who still does Phoenix?
honestly, bro, I don't think there's anyone that you and I associate with or that know of that's in Phoenix anymore, bro.
It's that crazy, huh?
Yep. It's insane, dude. Really insane.
Bro, I don't know. Like Fresno's kind of gotten that way. We've
Yeah.
gone into Indiana. We're closing on our first deal. We JV'd with
Yeah.
RJ Bates to dispo it, but we still got a pretty good assignment fee on it.
Nice.
I
Well, we
just don't.
just
Go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What are you gonna say? You just don't know it?
Just the competitiveness, bro. Like I want a better bang for my buck on like my
Yeah.
market.
So you know what we did, and this is maybe something you want to look into before we go live here, because not a lot of people know about this. You need
Wait,
to
y'all live.
invest. Oh, am I live?
Y'all live.
Cool. You need to invest in maybe building your buyers list, and that's been huge for us. We're using a program that to help us with that. So I think it's called who offers that? Dontix, I think, offers it. So I don't know if you know who they
Or
are. Yeah, Adentix or whatever. I can't remember the name. So we're live. Let's go, baby. I didn't realize we were live.
yeah. I mean, so that's been the biggest thing for me, right? Just getting more out of my deals by
hmm
JVing with dudes who have fatter lists, because that's the
Right.
only way I can do it, bro.
No, for sure. No, I agree. I mean, I think that's the way right now everybody has their unique strengths, and if you can work together with someone JV, somebody reputable, right? Because you don't want to be JVing with people who are not gonna do what they say, or they're shady or whatever. I mean, it works, bro. Honestly, I mean, we don't have the biggest buyer list, but we have some really good connections, and we'll JV and we'll dispose some other wholesalers' properties.
Right?
Just because
And
just because just because the trust factor.
I dispo other people's deals, and then I still have my hard deals
hmm
dispo
Right.
because it
Correct.
gets so wild. Like we had one come in the other day, and I told him he brought it to me. I was like, bro, I have no one who wants to buy this, and so we took it to another dude and just three-wayed it to get a
Mm.
dispo.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's
All
crazy, bro. That's
right, man.
insane.
So now let's get it going. This is my friend Max Jimenez, my mentor, closing
What's
master.
going on everywhere?
He's shown me so much on how to close real estate deals and really a ton of marketing, man. So much in marketing that I talked to you about and everything else. So let's just start off. How do you get
Sure.
started in real estate?
Cool, man. That's so that's a great question. Like real estate itself, I found out about real estate in a very unique way, right? I used to work, this was back when the big, before the market crash. I was working at an office doing credit repairs. I shared this with everybody. And so, back then, everybody was getting approved for a loan, right? For more, to buy a house back in '06. And so I ended up working at this office doing credit repair. And in that office, there was three other. It was a pretty big office, and it was split up. And the other little offices, they were doing. There was some flippers there, so all they would do is fix and flips. And so that's
Uh-huh.
kind of how I got it. That's kind of how I got introduced into the world of real estate. So I befriended them, and I got interested, and I liked what they were doing, because some of the things they talked about, the money they were making. But that was pretty much the extent, and it kind of opened up my eyes. Like, man, real estate, you can do a lot, and being involved in that in some way, some form, through getting clients, for them to come in and do credit repair with the gentleman that I was working with. He owned a credit repair company, and he would just, I would go out, talk to loan officers, and then connect them with him, and then he would do, whatever his thing, and then he would clear their credit, and they would get approved for a loan. And so one of the gentlemen that did real estate in that office, his name was Randy, and I befriended him. And obviously I didn't get into real estate at that point, but it opened up my eyes. Like, man, there's something going on here that I can get into. And then obviously we know what happened. A year and a half later or whatever that is, the market crash, and I got out of that business, the credit repair business, and so that was my first ever running into, or if you want to call it, like, seeing, the what real estate was, right? Was you buy a property, you fix it up, and then you put it out on the market for sale, right? You had, like everybody else, you think that you need to have money, you think that you need to, have all the relationships already, and that's not the case, right? As you and I know, but fast forward. Nothing happened, right? The market crashed in '09. We had our own house. We lost that property in the crash. And then, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I just never knew what that vehicle was for me, right? I always pushed to be an entrepreneur. Like, I would do literally yard sales. I want to start my own handyman business, right? Because I have that background of construction. Man, if I tell you all the jobs that I had, I was really good at work, but I was never really a good employee. Let's just put it that way, right? Like I never liked to be told what to do. I never like if I wanted to take a day off, and my wife would kind of attest to this, and people that know me, like, I would tell some of my supervisors, like, hey, I'm letting you know that I'm not going to be here on Thursday. Well, I don't know, we're really busy. Well, if you, I'm just letting you know ahead of time that I'm not going to be here, whether we're busy or not. That's the way I was, right? So I didn't know what to do. So '08, '09, I did, different jobs. And then in 2010, my stepdad has always been in construction. So he's always done commercial plumbing. So, they were building, he worked for a company that were building schools, hospitals, and basically, they were building restaurants, everything commercial, brand new. There was no, remodel or anything like that. Everything was ground up. And so I got into that in 2010, I want to say. 2000, towards the end of 2010, with him, because I just didn't know what to do anymore, right? And so 3 years go by, and then what happens is, in 2013 to 2014, the real estate market starts to kind of start to go up, right? We all saw that, where the prices started to go back up. People were buying. You saw houses being built again and things like that. So I kept in touch with Randy, the gentleman I mentioned earlier, that became real good friends with me. We stayed in touch. We always talked, went to birthday parties and such and such. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, around like I want to say mid 2014, I said, hey, Randy, what do you think of do you see what's going on with real estate? It's going up. And now you're starting to see all these commercials pop up about flipping houses again. And, the gurus were starting to come out the woodwork again.
Yeah.
So nothing really happened in that transition. He's like, well, you know what, if you want to get into it, start doing some research, let's see what we can do. And this was towards the end of 2014. And I didn't really do that. I like what I was doing for the most part, but I knew that that wasn't something that I wanted to do, right? Construction, commercial plumbing. I had a lot of potential. During those 5 years that I was there, I actually moved from being a helper to lead man right away. I was already making, like, towards when I got to 2015, I was already making like $23 an hour, which is pretty good for an hourly wage, right? And especially in a trade job. I don't know how familiar you are with trades. Like, it takes you 10 years. It takes you a long time to move,
It takes a long time.
Right, to move into such a pay scale. But because, again, going back, I always did my work. I was very dedicated. I did it with pride. But I just knew, like, the thing that kind of started opening my eyes was the foreman that I work with, and I was working with him for about 5 years. I learned a lot. Like, he was my mentor. He taught me a lot. He had been doing this for 25 years, and so I was making $23 an hour. He was making probably, I want to say, probably about $10 more than I was, or like $9 more, which is a lot of money, right? The
Yeah.
difference, if we're talking about an hourly wage, it's a lot of money. And so, but I was only doing it for 5 years, and I was already making $23 an hour, right? And I don't know if it was part because he didn't want to, because in construction, you can be a foreman, you can be a project manager, and there's other, an estimator. I just think he didn't want to do those things. He just wanted to stay out in the field. But I looked at him and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this the rest of my life, right? And so Yeah, and so and we kept in touch, Randy and my friend Randy and I, and so we basically I started and when 2015 came, I started to ramp it up. Like I was doing a lot of research. I was, I would go on Craigslist. I was looking at houses on Craigslist, and you know what? And back then I didn't know what wholesaling was, right? Like most of us, right? We don't know what we don't know. I think and that's we always miss the gap is the information, right? I think that's the bridge. The bridge is the information that we're missing to be able to know what others to be able to do what others are doing is the gap is the information. So I would call these numbers and it would be like these guys, yeah, the property's still available. Can you close in 7 days? Can you put a non-refundable earnest money? And then it's all cash. Well, you know who those were, right? Obviously we know now it was us wholesalers. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, like, there's no way I can do that. Like, how am I supposed to do that? Right? I don't know about you, but if you didn't, I don't know if that's how you started calling lists. I'm not sure how you got into real estate, but I was like, I would call my friend Randy. I'm like, Randy, I'm calling these ads of these properties that are supposed to be fix and flips, and these guys want me to close in 7 days. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know if you ran into that or not, Strand.
Bro. So I didn't. I did at the beginning, and then I learned very fast. Like, all right, I don't want to talk to any of these dudes. It's just a bunch. Like even now, like I try not to even do that much business with people who are actively investing because you just
Gotcha.
know you're not going to get a deal.
Yeah.
Like it just won't
No,
happen.
no, for
And what's
sure, for
going
sure.
on, bro?
Yeah, for sure. And what's up, Noah? What's going on? And so long story short, I was getting a little frustrated. This was probably, I want to say maybe like mid 2015 or something like that. And so basically, my mother-in-law, she's like, if you want to get, if you're interested in real estate, she goes, why don't you call the agent that sold my property? I know she deals with a lot of investors. So I said, cool, let's call her up. So I ended up calling the lady. I can't remember her name was Karen, I think. So I ended up calling her, and basically she's like, you know what? I live in Florida. I'm no longer part of this world, a part of that world. So you can see where this is going already, right? So I wasn't getting anywhere with the Craigslist ads. Then I call her, and basically she's like, yeah, I'm not part of that world. I wish I could help you. So I said, all right, that's okay. But before we hung up the call, this is what she told me. She's like, you know what? I do know. She goes, why don't you look up a guy named Sean Terry? And so, and yeah, exactly, right. And so that was the game changer, man. So I didn't do it that night. 2 days later, I went on his website, Googled Sean Terry, and if you Google Sean Terry, there's a bunch of stuff, on Google about him. And so I went to his website and I downloaded the ebook, and that was the game changer for me, bro. That ebook explained exactly what he did, how he would contract the properties, and then how he would sell the contract. And basically, what happened was that I called my friend Randy. I said, Randy, I found this guy. He's here locally. Here, I downloaded his ebook. Here it is. I emailed it to him. And I said, you're not going to believe what he said in the ebook, blah, 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 this. And I'm like, I was like, I read it 3 times, bro, the ebook, because I couldn't believe what it was saying, you know, like doubt, right? Like the mindset wasn't there yet. And so I emailed it to him and he called me the next day. He goes, I don't know if that's legit, man. He goes, doesn't sound like that would be like something you could do. Which is typical, right? When you tell someone, like, it's very hard to
Yeah.
tell somebody or explain to somebody about wholesaling. Um, so that's where the journey started. With obviously he was here locally in Phoenix, and I started going to his meetups. I started getting a lot into self development, because of the books he would recommend reading. And that whole year of 2015, like, I started doing self development, and I started to grow mentally, and my mindset started to shift. Like, man, this is what I've been looking for. Like, this is the vehicle that I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna ride this thing like I stole it, right? Like we always say, right? Drive the car like you stole it. And
Yeah.
I said, I finally found the vehicle that I believe is gonna take me where I always wanted to be, which was be an entrepreneur and work for myself. And so I ended up going to his event in October 2015. That was the first real estate event, and I'll tell you, I still wasn't developed yet, and it cost $99, bro, and I still had doubts to go to it. I'm like, should I
Well,
spend the $99? Go ahead, bro.
bro, it's crazy now, money wise, about like what you think costs a lot of money compared to most other people. And I'm not saying I
Oh,
make a ton of money, but like it's like, oh, bro, it's $100. Like, fuck it. like whatever
Yeah,
we to where like a lot of people now still they haven't even gotten past that barrier.
right,
I was
right,
like, oh man, that's
exactly.
$100, that's $300, that's $500. Like, oh, it's a grand, bro. That's a steal. Just make the move and like, keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, that's how it is now. But back then, it was like, and here's the kicker. So you're gonna laugh at this. It was $99 and bring a friend. So you don't have to go by yourself. That's how crazy it was, right? And so yeah, I bought the ticket. I went, and then it just after that event, I was like, whoa, right? I got introduced. My eyes opened up to what we're doing now, obviously, right? Wholesaling and I just went, the next 6 months, this is where this is golden nugget here, right? Where the next 5 to 6 months, you know, I completely like blacked out, if you want to call it. So what I mean by that is I actually
Yeah.
went into like a mode where I turned off the TV. Every now and then I would watch a game here and there, but I turned off the TV, the music in my car. I used to listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and obviously being a guy, right, that's what we like to listen to on Monday or whatever. But and music, right? And so I turned all that off, bro. And as I went into this dark mode of self-development and shifting the mindset, I started to see myself where I wanted to be at, through real estate. And so and so what was happening is, while my mindset was shifting, I started to be very unhappy at my job, bro. Like, it started to become a more of a burden, you're right, more of a
Mhm.
burden than what it was before I started to find this out. Because I'm like, man, I know the potential, I know where I want to be, I can visualize myself being where I wanted to be. And I started to feel like my job was a burden. I'm like, and I started actually disliking my job. I started hating my job, bro. Like, I did not want to be there anymore, because all I did was listen to podcasts all day, all day. The conversations with the guys they weren't fun anymore. We weren't laughing, like, because
It's crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy how you just you completely disconnect. I did the same thing, right? As soon as I got back from Seattle, I
right,
started this I go down the home inspection thing, then I really dive into real estate. And then like same thing, like blackout mode, nothing, all audio books, just learning, learning, learning. And then like as I came out of that, like I couldn't even have conversations with my friends anymore. Like
yeah,
they just weren't even there mentally. And I feel like
right,
that's one thing a lot of people like, oh yeah, you're gonna be on your own. But it's not because you're better than anybody else. Like it's just like your mind is in a completely different place to where even now, I'd say the biggest problem I have is most of my friends are from masterminds and I don't have anybody in my like area that I live in because I
right.
can't talk to them the right way. Like, or it's just the vibe's just not there because again, like that whole 6 months.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a change and a shift, right? Because now you start to realize, like, going back to what we said, right? That information, right? What's the difference between us and somebody that's doing something bigger, better? It's the information. That's it. And as you're learning this, like, the gap starts to get bigger and bigger between the person that doesn't know and yourself. Not, and like you said, not saying that you're better than them, but you're starting to now go somewhere, right? You're laying down, the information is laying down those bridges, and they're not going to cross those bridges with you because they don't have that information yet. And you can't make people do that. So sometimes again, like you're saying, you just gotta keep going, bro. You can't give up.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. And so, going back to the story, I was, I basically, again, started hating my job. I was like, I didn't want to be there. And so at this time, though, I was taking action, right? I was writing letters, I was talking to sellers, I was putting out bandit signs at night, and I was still working. Like, this was, going into 2016 now. I still hadn't got my first deal. It took 11 months to get my first deal. You're going to get kicked out of this story. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but so, and then here comes, and here's the thing, like, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to quit. There was a couple of times, there was 3 or 4 or 5 times that I was like, you know what, this stuff ain't gonna, this is not for me. I just think this is not working. Maybe this is not, doubt kicks in, right? But
Yep.
the thing that helped me is that I had people that were encouraging me because of all the work we were putting in, such as, even though it wasn't friends, but it was the close people, the people that were so close to me, right? My wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, right? Those, they were the most encouraging voices. Like, you can't give up now, right? You've done too much work. Sorry, you've worked so hard on this. You can't give up. You got to do this for your family. And again, if you're not setting yourself up around people that are not going to tell you those things, you need to separate yourself. And that's kind of what you were saying, right? Because most people are going to say, "See, I told you that stuff didn't work. Just quit."
Right.
And yeah, that's what you're gonna hear, for the most part. And the thing that helped me going back to a mindset shift, reprogram, rewiring, right, is that I had envisioned already, I saw myself where I wanted to be at, but physically I wasn't there yet. But that the thing, the blackout helped me, man, because if my mindset and plus all the encouragement and the push, right? Because if my mindset wasn't if I wasn't rewiring or self development, I think I would have actually quit, right? And that's what I think happens to a lot of people. Like they want to make this business work. They want to do, the things that other people are doing, but then you don't realize that it takes a lot of work. You got to reprogram your mindset. Mindset has to do a lot with it. It's not everything because you got to have a, you got to hustle, man. But if you're just hustling and your mindset is not there to keep up with your hustle, guess what? You're gonna quit because you're gonna get tired because you're not seeing the vision of where you want to be at. And that's
I
where
think
most people quit.
mindset. I think
What's that?
mindset is. I think mindset is 95% really of anything. Because again, like Jeff Bezos has the same amount of time in a day that we do. I just
Correct.
haven't figured out how to make $1 billion a year yet. I'm like I don't have the mindset to do it yet. Like just the development and everything else. Like if you know where you want to go and how to achieve it, that's all you need. The information. Then like really ignorance in your mindset is what I consider it. Of like I know I'm going to do this. I don't care what
Right.
anybody says. I don't care how long it's going to take. I'm
Yeah.
going to be successful X.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what
No.
a lot of people don't have it, bro. And like you have
Yeah.
to be ignorant. The best way I can say is really be ignorant. And like, nope,
Yeah.
no other way, all boats burn.
Yep. Yep. So basically, I'm not glad because that leads to keeping going with the story. That kind of leads into where I'm going next. So I didn't. So I worked all summer, man. I was busting out, going to work, waking up at 3, going to the shop, getting home at 3 o'clock, and then working on my business from 3 o'clock to the afternoon. I was putting in the work, but I still wasn't getting anything. And so around, I want to say June of 2015, I completely didn't want to go to work no more, bro. Like I want real estate is what I want to do. I don't want to do this work anymore. And it became a thing where I was like, man, what if I was thinking, what if I get a job just to be around real estate, like working in real estate? And I'm thinking to myself, trying to sell myself on that. And so I did. I was like, I went on Craigslist, and so I found an ad, and I don't know if I shared this with you guys, because you've been to a couple, you were on a mastermind, and then you came to our workshops. But I don't know if I shared this there, but I went on Craigslist and I looked up all real estate sales, and there was one ad that stood out, like looking for a rock star salesperson. Didn't know who it came from, didn't know who it was. I mean, it didn't say a name. It just said fill out this form. It was a survey form, and then it said call this number after you call this number and leave a brief description of you and why we should hire you. So I filled out the form, and then I called the number, and I just left. All I did was say, hey, I say my name, I say who I was, I'm in Phoenix. All I'm looking for is an opportunity. I said, if you don't like the way I work, I say you can fire me in 30 days, bro. That's all I said. And if you don't like the way I work, you can fire me in 30 days. I'm giving you permission to fire me. But I would have known, I wouldn't be prepared, and I would have known not to say that if I wasn't, preparing mentally and doing self development, and my mindset was there, right? Because that's that. Who says that, right? Who says like you can fire me in 30 days? So I hung up. I kid you not, I got a call back in about 3 minutes, no less than 2 minutes. My phone rang and it's like, hey, yeah, you just called and left the message. I wanted to call you because, I'm really interested in the message you left. And guess who was on the other line, bro, of that phone
Dante?
call? Huh?
Dante?
No, Steve Train. Steve
Oh,
Train was
that's
on the other
me.
line of the phone call. Yeah. Steve Train was on the other phone call. So this goes back to when he talks about that I quit, right? When I was working for him, and I'll get to that here a little bit. But going back to what you were saying, bro, that's the thing. Like when you're preparing yourself mentally, you're doing a lot of self development. You're putting yourself in the information, and you're actually putting out there, right? The what is it? Law of attraction, right? You're putting things out there that you're attracting, like dude, out of everybody that could have been on the other line, like it was Steve, bro. Like Steve answered the phone, right? Like it was the what preparation, what is it? Opportunity, what is it? Opportunity meets preparation, or whatever that saying is.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so we hit it off. I went to interview, started working with him. And so, but I quit my other job. Before I did, though, I mean, I went to the owner of the company, and I told him, like, hey, Nash, we used to call him Nash. I've actually got a great opportunity to work in real estate. And, guess what he did? He hit me hard. He's like, well, what if I give you like $5 more an hour? And I'm
That's
like, oh
big.
man,
That's big, dude.
bro, that's huge. It's big. Like it's a lot of money for somebody that, that gets paid hourly. So that would have put me like at 27, $28 an hour or whatever I was making at that time. And so I'm thinking like, I didn't tell him no because I didn't want to disrespect him, right? So I said, you know what, Ness, let me think about it. What helped me was that my drive home was about 45 minutes, bro, from the job site to get to my house. And so all this way, I'm thinking like, I'm thinking, halfway home, because I'm thinking about how I'm gonna tell this to my wife. You got to remember that I'm married, so I'm like, how do I sell this to how do I tell my wife about this? So, and then I thought about it, like, you know what? If I was really that good and I was a really great asset to the company, why am I not making that now, right? That was what broke the camel's back, right? If you want to say that, the straw, because I'm thinking like, man, $5 is a lot of money. Like, how am I gonna walk away from that? But then I started thinking like, man, I know that I'm better. Like, if I'm that good to what I do for him to offer me that, why am I not making that right now? And so long story short, we went home, talked about it, and we went back and forth, and we're like, okay. So I took the jump. I left I left what could have been my 27 to $28 an hour. I took the risk. I went to work for Steve. I was getting paid like, you got to remember, he doesn't pay much.
At
So
all.
yeah, so I went in and I was making $15 an hour working with him. So I took like a 10 to whatever $12 pay cut. And so, but I was still marketing. I was still marketing for wholesaling. I was still marketing for for properties. And so come October, and this is what I tell everybody, and I said this the last time I was on with Zach. A lot where I got my first deal was not from a bandit sign. It was not from a letter. It was from somebody that worked with my wife at her job. So
Yep.
one of the things yeah, crazy. So what I tell everybody is like, the thing that most people forget, we try to get fancy, right, with our marketing which rightfully so. If you're going to start to have a real business, you need to do that. But when you're starting, everybody needs to know what you do. It doesn't matter who it is, because the reason why they need to know is because when that opportunity presents itself, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Stratton, I remember he told me he buys houses," And that's how it was, bro. When before I got my first deal, everybody knew. Hey, if you know somebody that's looking to sell, I didn't care. I was telling everybody at the gas station, at the store, wherever it was, and that's what I tell a lot of new people. Like, does everybody know what you do? Does everybody in your family know what you do? Don't care if you bother. That don't think like that. Like, they need to know what you do. So when somebody reaches out to them, like, oh, I remember he said that he buys
Yeah.
houses. Am I right on that?
Oh, without a doubt. Like, I've tried to make a much bigger social media play lately for that exact reason,
Yeah,
right?
I know you
I
have.
more private money. Like, I have private money people hit me up, like, hey, how can I get involved with you? Like, come on, like, easy. And then now I had a dude who I played high school football with say, hey, I have a house in probate here in Utah. Do you want to buy it?
Wow,
Yeah.
bro, that's
Oh yeah.
awesome. Of
Without a
course.
doubt. Of course I do. Like, how can I
Yeah,
help you out? Like, let's figure this out. But like
yeah,
that is these lives and everything else, like it's evergreen marketing. So I have 3,000, 4,000 Facebook friends.
right.
Anybody who even thinks about, oh, Strat, I know Strat talks about real estate and he buys houses all the time.
Yep,
Let's bring him a house.
exactly. Yep,
And
yep.
you still pay him a good referral fee and everything's good.
Yeah. No, and that's true. Like, there's people who get upset because we don't email blast our properties. We have, a very niche buyer. We don't text blast our properties. And then, dude, by the time we walk out of that you see how we do it, right? We go and we put everything on Instagram while we're at the appointment. By the time we leave, we got like 6 different messages. And, we had a guy, and again, going back to what you were saying, like, building those relationships, and that's how they come, because they got to know what you do. We had a guy that messaged us from Kansas that knew Ruben, that was working in our office. The guy's got, hey, I got a couple $1 million and that I don't know what to do with. I'm in he goes, I'm in what did he do? Aerospace business. He goes, I do aerospace, I don't do real estate. He's like, but I have money laying around and I see what you guys are doing. And this is what he said. He said, I already see what you guys are doing. You already have an established environment. You got an established presence. I don't want to start all over. He goes, in Phoenix. If you guys want to borrow my money, he goes, by all means. He says, we'll do case by case, but and that's how that's
Right.
we've gotten, yeah, private lenders. Exactly. Exactly. And I always tell people, like, you need to make sure you tell everybody what you do, because you never know when the next opportunity is coming. If they don't know, then they're gonna go to the next person. And I've lost deals like that, but This deal specifically was really good one. Again, the lady worked with my wife. She had a condo here in Phoenix, and so it had been vacant for 2 years because they thought that they were gonna fix it and then sell it. They thought it was easy, and so 2 years later, and they still hadn't rehabbed it. So they were still paying the mortgage, and obviously, what happened was that they were just tired. They're like, let's get rid of it. So ended up going look at it, and yeah, we took it, contracted it, and I made $11,500. That was my first deal. And so 11 months, bro, 10, 11 months later, that was my
Life
first
changing.
deal that I got. What's that?
Life changing.
Yeah, definitely life changing. And so I went back after I got that deal. I got it all done, right? And this was October, I want to say 2016. I went back and I said, Steve, I need to talk to you. Steve's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm officially telling you, giving you my 2 weeks notice. He's like, I was booking so many appointments for him, bro. I was good, like for him and the agents in that office, and so yeah, he's like, man, what's going on? I'm like, well, you obviously knew. I said that I was already doing wholesaling, and obviously I'm gonna jump on my own, and so I ended up leaving, working, with from with him, anyways, right? But we kept in touch, and so I went to an event in November, and at that event, an investor, a cash buyer here that lives here in Phoenix, and me and him partnered up, and so he was more of a passive investor. So he had about 50 rentals, or he still has. He had like 50 rentals here in Phoenix, and he was also doing some flips. He wasn't really doing wholesaling. So I was on the wholesale side, and then we started doing a lot of flips. So the whole thing is I got away a little bit from wholesaling, and all of 2017, because this was November of 2016. In October, I left with Steve. I was going to go on my own. I went to the event in November, and then I met him. And then all of 2017, basically, we did about, I want to say at least 16 to 17 flips that whole year. I learned a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I learned a lot that whole year. I learned about real estate. I mean, that's what launched me, right? To learn, pretty much the ins and out and stuff. And so towards the end of 2017, I'm like, man. And then me and Steve kept in touch, right? We kept in touch throughout this whole time. He would message me. I would message. He liked what I was doing. And so towards the end of 2017, I'm like, man, I feel like I got a job again. Like, bro, because I was locking up the deals. I was running the subs. I was pretty much, because he was very passive. Remember this. This
Yep.
guy's got rentals. Like, he doesn't need to be out doing all this. It was me that, I had to do all that. And we partnered up, and so by the end of 2017, I'm like, I can't do this. And so going into 2018, I told him, like, look, man, I feel like we're going different ways here. I think what we need to do, and I told him, like, I think we need to just go our separate ways. Let's just shake hands before, things. And there was some other stuff going on that I'm not going to talk about, but, we shook hands. And then I want to say somewhere around like March of 2018, I was at Starbucks, and I'm thinking, like, man, okay, so now I got to build a plan to go out on my own. I was really going to go out on my own this time. And then Steve calls me. Steve's like, hey, man, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I said, honestly, I'm here at Starbucks. I'm about to, basically go on my own. Look, again, right? Law of attraction. Like, it's weird. Like, he called me at the right moment when I'm getting ready to, write up this like business plan or my next moves, right? And he goes, do you want to go to lunch this week? And I said, well, yeah, sure, I'm available. So yeah, so we went to lunch. That was April 2018. And so we went to lunch, and man, we partnered up, and we took we partnered up officially April of 2018. And it's just been a wild ride, bro. Like, I cannot honestly tell you, like, how blessed I am to have him as a business partner, and the growth and everything we've done in the short 2.5 years that we've been partnered up together, bro. It's been insane. It's been a crazy ride. And that's kind of the whole journey, bro. And the thing is, like, most people, what I want to say is, like, they look at your life. And I always tell people, like, you think it's hard now that you're starting. Wait till you start going to little bit, wait till you start going to higher levels. Like, it doesn't get easier, bro. It gets harder.
Oh yeah.
And
Wait till you have like 5 figures going out in overhead a month, and then you have a couple bad months. Wait till you have to pivot. That's no fun.
exactly,
You know.
exactly. So, but that's the story, bro, behind, like, my real estate journey and how I got here. But yeah, bro, I think the last 2.5 years it's been a wild ride. I mean, you've been part of it for most of it. You've seen inside our business. You've seen, pretty much what we do, It's been crazy, bro. It's been fun, and I think we're just getting started, bro. Honestly, I think we're just getting started.
Hell yeah. And let's
Yep.
transition and talk about
Sure.
the way you and Steve at least took a foothold in the Phoenix market by separating yourselves as salesmen. And
Yeah.
like how you guys did that, the sales coaching you get, the sales coaching you guys offer, all that. Because I mean, your guys' sales coaching, I took John Martinez. I remember I went to your event. I
Yeah.
thought I knew. I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. Blah blah blah. Straight, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, bro. I was like, and then like the Sandler way, I just loves it. I love the way you and Steve teach it because there's just no outs.
Yeah.
Like at the
Right.
end of the day, like yeah, you're gonna sell me your house or you're not.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we both
Right.
know there is no follow up. And because I hate follow up, most entrepreneurs hate follow up.
Right.
It's either a
Right.
deal or it's not. And if it's not ready to burst yet, you don't even talk to them. You just ask a couple
Correct.
questions and then you move on forward. So
Yep.
let's talk
Yep.
about what made you and Steve get into like the heavy sales game, because you two are for sure the most prominent, and like you guys have started the I'm a killer salesman movement in wholesaling, I'd say.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, so we partnered up, I want to say, so April 2018, and then well, Steve actually has spent. What's up, Charles? Heck yeah,
What's
stand by
going
to
on,
get
Charles?
some. So Steve, I don't know if you know this, but Steve has spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in self development. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know any, I don't know anybody else that has spent as much as Steve has in self development, and that's why he's like a walking encyclopedia, right? I still learn from him today, every single day. So the one of the things with Steve is he understands an opportunity, and he understands when there's something great that presents itself, right? And this is going back to I'm getting there, you're getting there, but Steve's been doing this for a long time, where he's been pouring into himself for a very long time. So when there's an opportunity that presents itself, he has all that information to make a decision like this is going to be great, and so that's what happened with Sandler. So obviously he got introduced to Sandler through Pace, which most of it, we're acquainted with Pace Morby, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about. And so Pace was going there, and most of the home investor guys, that's where they go to get trained,
yep,
to Sandler. And then it was around, I want to say, probably around August or maybe September of 2018, Steve got invited. And basically, he got invited as a guest and stuff. And so he sat in one of the classes and he started recording. And he would send me the recording, and I'm like, bro, what is this? Like, this is not even this is not Grant Cardone. This is not, your regular sales. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like, sign here, here, here. The third copy is yours. I was like, this is not but it was crazy because it worked, right? Like the guy, he's telling him, and so Steve like went back, after he went as a guest, and he's like, hey, how can I sign? How can I sign up? And so our coach, like dude, he's an assassin. Like this guy, sensei, right? He's like telling you've heard the story, right? When he's like, Steve's like,
Oh
I want
yeah,
to.
the
Well, why do
worst
you want to be in the?
salesman in the world.
Yeah, he's like, why do you want to be? Why do you want to be in this class? Well, because I want to be part of. I want to hang out, and I want to be with the best. And he's like, well, why don't you just stand by the door and listen and watch him? It's like he did not want to take his money, right? Because that's the sounder way, right? Like he's using your own, like he's trying to bring it out of you so you can give up the order. And so, anyway, so basically, he's like, "Why don't you just hang out with them in the restroom?" He's like, that was the next thing he said. and so and so then finally, they got to the point where Steve kind of said, "Take my credit card, dang it!" He's like, "Take my credit card." He's like, "Okay, only if you're comfortable. That's the only way I can run the credit card." So he signed up and he started before me, and then he was going, and then he was recording the classes. So he was sending me the recording. I was getting them first, and then I was like, dude, this thing is crazy. Bro, I kid you not. And I'm the type of person, like, I'm very auditorial. I'm an auditory learning because you got people who are visual, you got those who are auditory learners, and then you got those that need to, touch, see, and all that. I hear something, bro, I'm running with it. Like that's all I need to do. Like, so I was listening to it, and I started just from those recordings. I started running. I started using them at the appointments. Like, not perfectly, but I was like, man, this sounds really good. Like I'm gonna use this. And then he signed up, and then he got a really good deal. I don't know how he did this. 10 of us, I think it was 8 of us that ended up signing up in November of 2018. We all, or September or something like that. I said, or of 2018. We all, because it's been 2 years. We're in October now. Yeah, so September of 2018, and then eight of us ended up signing up. And out of that eight of us, I think only like three of us graduated. Nobody went back. So they give you like a little certificate after you finish the fundamentals. And bro, we just from there, like I was going religiously 3 times. Well, in the beginning, the first 8 weeks was 3 times a week. Once you finish fundamentals, I started going twice a week. I didn't miss. Here's what helped me is I would bring everything that I had. That's how I build my scripts, the text templates that you see, right? Everything that I got. I would go in there and I was like, yo, I need to make my scripts better. Hey, here's what happened. Here's the thing about our coach. Like he was aggressive. Like I would say, hey, I went to an appointment the other day and this is what happened, X, Y, and Z. And he's like, oh, but you didn't say it like that, did you? I'm like, Brad, yes, I did. I said it like that. He goes, man, I feel sorry for you. And the seller, he goes, like he would call you out, bro, in front of the class. Like he still does it today. But that's what you need, right? You need somebody to tell you, like, that's not the way you do it. So long story short, we obviously, I still go. I try to go at least once a week now, because you got to keep refining your skill, your acts. You can't let it go dull.
Mm-hmm.
And so Steve, he's been in a little bit longer than I have. But the thing with Steve is, again, going back to he's already done so much self-development. He understands an opportunity. So he actually grabbed the information and kind of 10x it. Like he just, right? Like he grabbed it, he understood, like, man, this thing's gonna this. And he told me, he's like, man, Max, he goes, I've done so much self-development, sales training, all that. And I've paid, $1,000 to strategic coach and Brian Buffini, all those
Yep.
other guys. He goes, this stuff does not compare to anything. And for him to say that, bro, I was like, okay, I believe you. And you see, I mean, you've seen it, right?
Oh
You've
yeah.
seen it work, yeah. So, but that's what changed. That was the game changer for us, bro. Like that's what made us stand out. That's what when it trickled down to our acquisition guys, right? We started pouring out. I kid you not, in the office, you could not have a serious conversation for the most part because everybody was getting reversed. So if you would ask a question, well, what do you mean by that? You must be asking that for a reason. Can you tell me that another way so I can better understand it? So there was like even text message, bro. It got so annoying. Like, bro, let's have a serious conversation here. So it was just implementing. That was the key for us, and that's what helped us to stand out in Phoenix, bro. Because Phoenix is such a competitive market, and basically, allowed us to compete. Because if it wasn't for the sales training, there was no way that we were going to be able to compete, in Phoenix being such a competitive market.
Oh yeah. It is insane.
Hmm.
What are your top 5 questions that you always ask that like
Sure.
it's gonna get them? And then what's your number one closing question? I think I know what it is.
Um, So the 5 questions for me are typically going to be starting like, okay, can you, so Stratton, by the way, what has you considering selling this property, right? Those land more into like the pain questions because it's gonna get them to open up, right? You remember the pain questions. So, okay, so, and then depending on what you're telling me, I'm like, okay, can you tell me more about that? Because I want you to elaborate a little bit on there. And then the third one is, how long has that been going on? That what you just told me, because now
And
I
that's
want you to
step
go
and a step and a step down the funnel.
step
The
in the
pain.
step in the funnel. Exactly. Are you currently working with another real estate agent? But one of my favorites once that I like before, like when I was going a lot to the face-to-face appointments, was as soon as I got there, and I always tell them, like, what, how are you hoping I can help? That question opens up. It's either going to go two ways. It's only going to go two ways. It's going to go, well, I was hoping you can give me market value, right? The number right away. If I'd rather have that within the first 5 minutes of the appointment than sit there and find out 45 minutes later that you're going to want market value, right? So that question for me has allowed that to expand that. How are you hoping I can help? Well, I was hoping, and if they go the other way, where it's like, well, I was hoping that you can help me because I need to remove from this property X, Y, Z. Okay, before we and then the next question is we say, hey, before we get into all that, can I share with you a little bit of how we work? Is there somewhere we can sit down? And then we get into the establishing the rules part. Um, So that's one of my favorite questions, because right away we were at an appointment one time. This was, and I remember this because this is the funniest one ever. We went to an appointment and we show up. It was me and Miguel. This is when Miguel was working with us, and we show up and I asked the guy that question, right? We said, hey, thank you for inviting us. We kind of went over, we talked over the phone. And then I asked the guy, I said, well, how are you hoping we can help? And the guy goes, well, I was hoping you give me $50,000. And that's what he told me. Like, it was like, we know we weren't going to pay $50,000 for a mobile home of this junker. And then I'm like, whoa, $50,000?
You got to hit
Like,
it with that though. With the
yeah,
you can't.
sizzle the bacon, right? Like, ooh, $50,000. He's like, yeah, man. He goes, that's what I was hoping you guys could do for me. I'm like, man. I said, I have to apologize to you. And he's like, what's that? Why do you have to apologize? Because I came out here and I just feel like I'm gonna waste your time, and I'm sorry that I had you guys set up this appointment. He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm not gonna be your buyer, bro. Honestly, at $50,000, if that's what you're looking for, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be your buyer. I really appreciate you for inviting us, and I went like this, right? I went to shake his hand. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, wait a minute. Like, he goes, hold on. Well, what do you guys have to offer? And I'm like, well, I'll be upfront. Like, I'm not going to offer you $50,000. I'm not going to be even close to $50,000. So if you still want to talk, I'm more than open to staying here and conversating with you. But if you want to be anywhere near that, then unfortunately, I'm not going to be your buyer. And he just he stood there. He's like, man, how do I get over this? Like, he just stood there, bro. Like, he's like, all right. He goes, well, come on. What do you guys want to do? Where do you want him? Like, so see, most people are scared to do those things, bro, because you got to pull away. You got to get one of the keys is you got to get to the no fast, right? You got to get to the no to be able to, you got to end the sale to start the sale. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think that they have to keep the sale going. Like, you're not going to convince somebody in that position to drop their price by 50,000, no matter what you tell them. No matter what you tell them you're going to do. So you have to pull away. You have to get them to say no, or you got to get to end the sale, right? And that's what I did. I ended the sale and he brought it back up. I was like, okay, so now you're the one that's saying, let's keep going with this. I already set up the rules. And so we ended up locking it up for that deal for 30,000 after it was all said and done. So, yeah. And so your last question is, one of my favorite closings is, so there's a couple of things, there's a couple of different spots where you can use this, because I always like to summarize everything, right? Like, all right, Strand. So what I'm hearing is that you're trying to, go to another state. You got your family there. It sounds like the only thing that's stopping you from going over there is the property. Is there anything I missed? Right? I'll let you tell me, like, okay, no, that's it. I think it's everything. And then we kind of we keep summarizing it. And the last one is, in the past, we had a couple of things that have come up from keeping us from working together. And the three things usually are time, money, and other people. Stratton, can you think of any of those three that could possibly stop us from work together? Now, the thing that you want to get out of the way right away is the money part, because like if they say money, that means that they're thinking about a high number, right? Because typically if somebody says money, they're going to say, well, it just depends on what you offer. Other people in time, you can always work with, because we can get those other people involved. We'll end the sale there. But when it comes to money, you got to bring them back to, okay, so it sounds like you want more market value. You can end the sale as well, or keep it going. And then from there, they say, you know what, right now, if they say it's nothing, like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay, so when you say you're ready to go, what does that typically mean? Or when you say we move forward, what does that typically mean? Well, we would sign the agreement. And this is possibly after we got a number, because there's a lot of things going on, right, during this conversation. But the best question for me, okay, so given, you want this, let's pretend we could do this. Let's pretend we can, help you out with this. Let's pretend we could do that. What happens next? Right? That's always the go-to question. I mean, and you've used this quite a bit, I think, yourself too, because that's going to open up to what they're thinking, right? Like, well, if you can do all that, what happens next is, we'll sign the agreement. We'll sign the paperwork.
They can close themselves. We use it in our call center for clients. We use it in wholesale. Like if you run your appointment well enough and it's a qualified prospect, it just closes itself.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, though. a lot of people are like, well, what if the prospect says, I don't know, you're the professional? Because we had that happen, right? I don't know what to do. What happens? Like, you tell me. Do not ever, don't ever put the order, don't ever apply it to them. Share a third party story. Okay. So what you're doing is that so now you ask the
Nugget.
question, now they're bringing out to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to say, well, what we've done in the past, Stratton, is there was the other homeowner over here with the same situation as yours. And what we did was X, Y, and Z. But, I just don't know if that's what you're considering. Is that what you would want us to do for you? Right now we're like taking it away from
Nugget.
you, and then we're gonna bring it
Nugget.
back, yeah. So I just don't know. The third party stories work miracles because, like we say, right, who can verify a third party story, right? It's very rare that they're gonna say, okay, can you provide the information, of that seller? It's gonna be zero to none for the most part. So always providing a third party story in those situations, and in any situation. Hey, do you guys buy houses with we had the question like, do you guys buy houses with junk in it? Oh, just well, you must
Oh,
be asking that. You must be asking that for a reason. Well, yeah, I want you to buy the house with everything in it. See, okay, so that's really what they're trying to tell you. Well, in the past, what we've done with other homeowners, always it's never applied to them because they don't care about the thing with a lot of people, and this is that at the end of the day, people will never argue with their own data. They will argue with anything that you try to apply to them or that you try to put on them. Does that make sense? People don't
oh,
like to be sold. People don't like to be pushed. And this goes back to, sorry, people don't like to be sold. Just think about the last time, the example that Steve always uses. When you go to the store, Best Buy, wherever, Walmart, dude, Walmart, the guy's going to ask you, can I help you? Is there anything I can help you find? Like,
no,
no,
man.
I got it. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. And it takes you 2 hours to find the the thing that you're fighting for. The guy's not even on commission. It's just natural. We're the nature. We're naturally don't like to be sold or don't like to be like told what to do. So basically, what we're doing in essence is that we're sketching, right, by asking these questions and then letting them give up the order. And even then, when they say, well, we'll sign the agreement. Okay, so when you say you sign the agreement, like, not today, I'm assuming. Oh, of course today. Okay, so only if you're comfortable. Well, of course I'm comfortable, and then just depending on the vibe, right? Like we'll see how much we want to push somebody because sometimes you have to be careful. There's different personalities, right? You got drivers, you got analytical person. You got the S, which are very steady, and then you got your I's, which are very bubbly and talk. So you have to. There's that factor of it too. You can't push people, to a certain extent before you got to say, okay, let's just write it up.
I love that. That was a whole nugget that if you're watching this, I'd write all of that down. Just knowing how to close them and bring all that. The biggest thing for us, like even when we're training our leads managers, salesmen,
Mm-hmm.
all I care about is pain. Like if they give
Right.
me some crazy price, but they give me a legitimate reason, like throw it over. Like we can deal with it.
Right.
But if there was no
Yeah.
pain,
Yeah.
then I generally don't want to do anything with it because then
Yeah.
there's no motivation. Like there's just zero
Yeah.
motivation.
Correct. Yeah, the old saying is no pain, no sale, right? If there's no motivation, like there's no reason, why you should be doing business and that person should be disqualified. And that's the thing, like I know, and we were talking about this today, as a matter of fact, with our new acquisition person, that we're not a volume
Yep.
business, right? We don't do 30 deals a month. Like that's not our business model. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but that's not us. We're a profitability business. So we want to be 50% profitability. We want to have 50% profitability. Right now we're like at 42. So if the deal, if it is, if it's just to get a contract to tell people that you have a contract, like for me, that's not a business that I want to be in, right? Just to make 1,500 bucks. Because honestly, I don't know about you, but I've experienced the worst experience with your 2,500 $3,000 little assignment fees than I've experienced with the $50,000 assignment fee. And we have three right now. They're a freaking they're a headache, bro. Like one guy had a child support lien. Another lady had a sewer. She owed back for sewer taxes, or no, sorry, debt for sewer. And dude, we're only making like, and these are JV deals, by the way. We're only making like on one $3,000, and the other one we're making like 2,500 or something, bro.
Right.
So you know, and we're about, and this is why we're a big believer, and you know this, disqualifying. We're huge on disqualifying. We don't follow up with you till, you know what I mean. Our motto is you cannot make a dead horse run fast, no matter how hard you hit him, bro. Right? Like he's not gonna run any faster. If the deal's dead, the deal's dead. Like you can't do that. But you know, again, we measure our follow-ups based on the conversations that we have. So if we talk to you today, we'll follow up with you next week, maybe another week. If we have another conversation with you that third week, depending on how the conversation goes, maybe we'll keep following up with you. But yeah, we're disqualifying you really, really fast,
What are you
for
guys
the
doing with
most
all your
part.
good leads? We just follow up them in 30 days as a cold call.
They
Or
go back to our VAs. We have a VA that goes into our Podio once a week, and she bangs out the phones. She'll call them. Yep. So we have what's called the 6-8. So if for example, like if if the lead comes in and our acquisition calls no answer, calls no answer. If there's six attempts, like our acquisition cannot be following up with them forever. They gotta, you know what I mean? There's new leads coming in, and they gotta focus on those. So those will go back. If they have a conversation with them, so the lead comes in, they have a conversation. Hey, you know what? Yeah, just at a bad time. Please call me, you know, Friday or whatever. And we call them Friday. We'll do the same thing. Another couple, you know, we're shorting it to like maybe 5 or 6 attempts. If not, it goes back again to the VA. So we don't spend a lot of time following up. Our VA does, and then texting. So we'll pull it, extract, and then we'll text. We'll text those because we know those we've contacted already.
yep.
Yeah.
Do you do the 7 days of hell or no?
No, we never done that. It's something that Steve and I had talked about, but we never put it into like to work. So
I mean, some people get mad, but it's worth it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So no, but going back to your rich, I mean, the Sandler sales training has definitely been a game changer for us. Not only in our business, bro, but just overall the self development. Because a lot of sales training teach you techniques, bro. Like they teach you like do a tweak here,
Exactly.
say this here, but with this stuff, like your whole mindset's got to shift, bro. Like you can't just use the technique and expect it to work. And that's kind of what, you know, going back to the old saying, right? Like you got to jump in and not only drink the Kool-Aid, like you got to swim in it and for it to work. And so, and that's what's been helping us, man. Like honestly, just our everybody in our office, our acquisition guys, they love the systems. They love, you know, talking to the homeowners. They love that they don't have to force a sale. Like, you know, they love that we can disqualify. If it's not a deal, it's not a deal, bro. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one, you know. But it's definitely been a game changer for us here in Phoenix for sure.
And so now I know you guys are doing a lot more virtual, something you said you would never do, by the way. How have you guys pivoted and transitioned into doing more virtual? What has been your biggest headache, and what have you learned that works better besides time-wise? And how are you
For
still successful virtually using the Sandler system?
right. So the Sandler system, using the Sandler system virtually, we've only been in 3 markets. So Tucson, which is south of us. Everything we get in Tucson, we do it. We for the most part we're doing it virtually, even though it's only like an hour and a half from us. And then we went to Kansas. We're working 1 or 2 deals from Kansas, but overall it wasn't that great. And then Vegas was the other one. So we have a property that we actually bought in Vegas. So for the most part, it doesn't really change as far as the conversation on the phone. The problem is now being able to do everything on the phone for us, because it was always face to face appointment. Remember, we would
Mhm.
always go to the appointments. Everything we'd go to the appointment. So we had to. One of the things that we had to do is we obviously had to change our script. So as far as the summarizing the call, because we're no longer trying to book the physical appointment, we're now trying to what we're now trying to do everything over the phone, obviously virtually. So one of the big shifts that we made, there's a saying that says never make a move without a commitment. We still do the same thing. So we don't do anything without the seller committing to us, right? Whether that's having the seller send us pictures, whether we're basically working with someone that's going to be going boots on the ground. We still got to get commitments from the sellers. But we definitely had to change our script for sure. That was one of the big things. And then the second thing, the hardest thing with virtual wholesaling, it's not sexy, bro. Like it's comping out properties, honestly. Like make sure that you have the right numbers.
Oh
And
man,
there's, that's the hardest part that we're figuring out, is that it's very, very difficult because obviously we don't have access to the MLS on every single state or every market that we're in. That's been the biggest challenge for us. And here's the thing, like we'll have Propstream open, we'll have Zillow open, we'll have RPR, which is part of the MLS, like, and we got to make a decision, like, okay, here's what it is, right?
that's
Um,
that is
what's
the
that?
hardest part for me, man. Like
Is it? Yeah.
Indianapolis, where else are we? South Bend, and then
Mhm.
even in little dinky markets that are 4 or 5 hours away from Fresno, it is just difficult. Like it gets
Mhm.
rough, dude, on just trying to find somewhere. Oh, let me bump over here. Like a comp. And then like,
Yeah.
oh, like, and like I'm on the same basis as you guys to where am I confident enough to lock this up to where I know I'm not going to drag out someone's life trying to
Yeah.
find a buyer? Like I don't ever want to lock up something and then not want to close on it myself.
Right, right. Yeah, that's been the biggest challenge because we're trying to still keep the same core vision, right? The same core values, even if we go to another state. There's some guys that don't care. They'll lock them up and then call them at the closing table and be like trying to renegotiate and stuff. Like we don't do that just because we're pretty confident in us getting the price that we want, right? That's been
Mhm.
the biggest thing, like using that confidence to get the price that we want. But the challenge is that just trying to figure out like getting the right numbers, getting the comp. So far, we've been hitting pretty good. Using the same, trying to understand the market. That's been the biggest change for us overall.
Um, who dispose what relationship has like what's been huge for you with JVing to dispo? Like, has it been big for you guys starting up in your new markets?
Um, as far as displaying in other markets, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like has it been big to JV for you guys? Because I'll still JV in
Um,
the new market if I can't get something sold, but in new market
yeah.
especially, just so I
So
get a
that's
feel.
Yeah, no, no, that's a good point. I think you need to do that, right? I think you can't go in. You need to. So what we do is those new markets that we're in, like we're seeing who's there first, right? We're seeing who's there. We're seeing if there's any buyers that we know, and then basically we again like everything, we got to make sure that they're legit, somebody we can trust. But yeah, I think that's kind of the first step. Like, who is there now that we can say, okay, let's get this deal, get it off our hand, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, we're not the type of business that says we got to make everything. If we can make the process easy and we can get it done quick, like let's get it done. So that's the first step that we do. Is if we go like say Kansas, we already had in Kansas before we even start marketing, we had boots on the ground, and then we had a private lender, and then we had a realtor already. In
Okay,
Vegas, same thing. We know people in Vegas. We know private lender in Vegas. We know realtor, and then obviously we had boots in the ground there too. Another agent that was there. So that's and so basically we always try to find that first, because then once we get going and we build stronger relationships with buyers, now we can say, okay, not trying to say that we don't need this person or whoever we're JVing with, um, but as far as them giving us deals, we really haven't went that route too much because we haven't been in a market too long for that, right?
hmm,
Tucson we have. So right now we got two JV deals in Tucson because we built the relationships, right? That has allowed us to do that. But like in Kansas, Las Vegas, we haven't built that strong yet buyer base, so we haven't had people bring us deals. We're mostly JVing right now. We'll JV with someone that's there locally for sure. Yeah.
awesome.
Yes, sir.
We're at about an hour and 3 minutes, bro. So we're kind of running over.
Damn. Okay,
You
cool.
dropped so much knowledge, bro. Where
Appreciate
can
it, bro.
people find out about you? Do you have any promo codes? What?
So the best thing to do is there's two things. So best way to find out about me or reach out to me is on Instagram. I'm very active on there, real Max Jimenez. You can see my handle here. People can go there. They can send me a DM if they got any questions. The other thing is they can go to our website, disruptors.com, disruptors.com. They can go there. And then there's also, if you guys are interested in stepping up your appointment game, or if you're interested, in getting better on the phones, we actually have a checklist. And I don't know if you've gotten this when you were with us or not, but we released it. This is the complete perfect seller appointment checklist, and it goes from introduction to exploring the pain points, And we made it available. If you go to disruptors.com/checklist, so it's disruptors.com/checklist. You can get it there. It's not free, so don't think it's free, because we spend a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on that. So, and Stratton knows about that. But yeah, reach out to me on Instagram, man, if you guys have any questions.
And you guys, their sales training has made me well over 6 figures, hands down. And then their mastermind combined with their sales training, meeting people who are killing it. Like, I mean, at a point in time, there was me, Gino, Stan, Dan, and someone else, like serious killers. Like Dan just hopped in the game, and Dan is killing it.
Yeah,
Gino's killing it. Stan's nationwide. Yeah. Like, it's a legit mastermind, and I loved it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And if you guys are looking for any type of VAs, cold callers, go to callmagicians.com. If you guys are looking to skip trace, go to rocketskiptracing.com. I know we're running a promo for skip tracing. And then if you guys say you found us on the podcast, let us know, and you guys will get a discount on the upfront fee as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Cool, guys.